Born under the same Namibian sun, Frankie Fredericks is one of the world's fastest humans, and the cheetah is his wild equivalent. By all comparisons, from breathing to claws, the cheetah is physically superior to its human counterpart. The cheetah is a superbly adapted sprinting machine. But in a race between them, can they still be an even match? Although the cat appears to win the sprint, it lacks endurance, and the cheetah's continued existence depends, in the long run, upon the perseverance of mankind. Today, in a unique partnership with people, cheetahs are running for their lives.
Africa Foundation, Lisa Hansen speaking. Hello.
To try and change somebody who's been brought up their whole lives to hate something, it's really pointless. To me, if you could rather take it from a business point of view, if a farmer can accept the fact that to introduce better farm management techniques, he's better off than catching cheetahs. Not for the cheetah's sake, but for the farmer's sake. It's his land, he's the one suffering the losses. You can understand his point of view. Why should he do that? For the cheetah's sake. And if they do have losses, and generally that is what sparks the anger, I feel that I want to really help them. But then there's always the element who will kill predators for fun. Not all of them like predators, and you can understand that they don't like them because of the losses that they've had. But some of them, they get a pleasure out of it, and I just can't relate to that.
The flying by microlight is that they get startled and they start and run. Then we could shoot them easier than sitting and waiting for them at the prey or at the waterholes. It's a little bit of fun also, because that thing hasn't got a chance. It can run anywhere it wants as long as you stick to it and you shoot on it. It hasn't got a chance at all. We had problems with the calves and the goats and the small game because of the fact that we didn't put them in an enclosure. And then if they are in the field, they are vulnerable to the predators. We had about 40 to 45% of losses. In the old days, it was not a problem. Nobody actually worried about them. If they would have been seen, they would have been shot just for the kicks of it.
In this climate of ignorance and indifference, Wayne Hansen works alongside his wife Lisa to fulfill the dreams of AfriCat, the foundation they created, dedicated to saving Namibia's wildcats.
We're not going to have any children, so basically these cats that we're working with are the kids who we're going to be with for the rest of our lives. We're going to give them the best shot we have, and hopefully in the end it comes out the way we hope. Like anybody else would hope the child would grow up being something special. We just want to save these animals and give them a better life out here.
Although his personal values are quite different, Wayne Hansen is a cattle farmer himself, and therefore has a realistic appreciation of the neighbouring farmers' anti-cheetah point of view.
Farmers that just kill these cats senselessly is difficult to understand, but looking into their problems, it is more a generation thing. These guys, their parents might have actually lost a lot of stock, and since children they were taught by their parents to eradicate these animals because they may sometime in the future catch a calf or two of theirs.
Throughout recorded history, the cheetah has run a tough race. From a genetic point of view, cheetahs have suffered from a series of natural disasters. At the time of Christ, cheetahs roamed freely across Africa and southwestern Asia. Today, very few populations remain. For unknown reasons, the gene pool of the cheetah has become exceptionally fragile, with almost no changes over 10,000 years, leaving the species incredibly vulnerable to disease and environmental change. For over 4,000 years, cheetahs were used in much the same way as falcons, for coursing game. In India, a hunting cheetah was rewarded with a portion of the kill, And within a few months, hunting cheetahs learnt to select only male prey, which were rewarded with the highest bounty. For centuries, the nobility of Europe, Egypt and India were attracted by the cats, and owning trained hunting cheetahs became a symbol of extravagance amongst the wealthy. The downfall of the cheetah was perhaps most noticeable in India, where the cats have been extinct for over 50 years. While other cats survive here on the fringes of the tropical jungle, the cheetah's strange cries are missing. The spotted cat with the tear-stained face has gone, no longer sharing the land with tigers and lions. A more recent part of the cheetah's problem began in India at the time of the Raj. When the British colonized the country, the gentleman's sport of hunting became a passion in a country teeming with wildlife. Massive hunting parties were a common sight, supported enthusiastically by both English and wealthy Indians, tearing cat populations to shreds. Soon the Maharaja's palaces began to look like English sporting clubs, as their owners supported the popular view that there were too many wild animals in India and fewer of them would enjoy a better life. Hunting on this scale was widespread across Asia. Since the 1940s, almost all free-ranging cheetahs have been found in Africa. The beginning of a hunt can look like an organized event, but it's usually a female teaching her cubs to hunt, and the actual chase and kill is carried out by one animal on its own. Unlike most cats, cheetahs don't usually ambush their prey, but stalk, then charge. The Earth's fastest mammal accelerates in 8-meter-long bounds to a spectacular 100 kilometers an hour within 3 seconds. Enlarged heart, lungs and nasal passages work like a turbo engine, providing the animal with a more efficient use of its increased air intake. Even when a hunt is successful, life for the cheetah is depressingly uphill. And by far the biggest natural threat to its life is pressure from other predators, like hyenas, who home in on the kill. The cheetah will always be the loser. Its meal, and sometimes its life, will be surrendered without resistance, and its cubs will often be killed. Even though this image of the cheetah's grace and beauty in the East African plains is the most common, the largest population of cheetahs survive in a very different landscape. In the southwestern corner of Africa is the great Namib Desert that gave Namibia its name. Monoliths of sand, old and incredibly dry. And beyond the sand wilderness, the moonscape of savanna. Here in a beautiful but hostile world, some of the world's most intriguing life survives ingeniously without water. The land is torn by a great escarpment, and on the other side stretch the grasslands of the veldt, home range of the largest population of cheetahs in the world. For many different reasons, it's not an easy life here. And with leopards around, the cheetah must be on permanent alert. cheetah can do nothing but surrender its prey. The leopard is a superior opponent. But because the two other classical threats to the cheetah, lions and hyenas, have been eradicated by game hunters in Namibia, both the cheetah and its prey animals should have been able to thrive. But the balance that could have resulted here hasn't happened. The culprit is man, who has assumed the role of the predator, killing 7,000 cheetahs over the past 10 years. Most of the wildlife in Namibia, including the approximately 3,000 cheetahs that survive today, are totally at the mercy of local farmers, who have fenced in half of the region's area, and by doing so, enclosing most of its wildlife. The wildlands are turned into extensive cattle grounds or game parks by headhunters, who come to shoot animals in an enclosure.
What used to be grassland, or savanna almost, and terminalia woodland, that sort of thing, has changed to bushveld and thornveld because of overgrazing by cattle. The cattle eat up all the grass, and the vegetation in trying to cover up that soil has caused the natural bush to actually take over.
Although the cattle may have modified the environment, the cheetahs appear to be adapting to the spreading thornveld, using it for shelter and play. Cheetahs can be found both alone and in small sociable groups, maybe a female with cubs, or 3 or 4 related males. Normally, male cheetahs are very amicable toward each other, and each group has a favorite tree where they happily gather. Around the so-called play tree, the cheetah in Namibia has developed a behavior found nowhere else in its range. A bit of a gentleman's club, their play tree is a drop-in center and notice board combined. Here, the cats, usually males, come to swap information and often just lie around to rest and relax in the sun. They keep their claws sharp here and scent mark frequently, advertising sexual status and condition. There is no pecking order, and other groups call, leaving their scent marks as well. To underline their status, they even leave their droppings on the high branches of the tree. So strong is the cheetah's desire to arrive at the play tree that it becomes a sitting duck for hunters or farmers who want to eradicate a perceived pest. By surrounding the tree with thorn bush, the cats are forced to walk through a box trap, and for the cheetah, it's often all over.
Oh, hi, Jan. How are you doing?
I'm great. Listen, Lisa, I caught a cheetah in a box trap. Would you like to come and pick him up?
I can come tomorrow morning if that's okay with you.
That'll be great.
Okay, excellent. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Short term, what we do is releasing predators, cheetah and leopard, back into the wild. And then we have got a lot of livestock farmers. They are actually phoning us and asking us to help them with their predator problem.
At least once a week, Lisa drives to collect an animal, hopefully still alive. Her love for the cats takes her cross-country on her own, many times driving for 10 hours or more.
I'm completely dedicated towards cheetahs. I love animals. I always have loved them, and I've always been interested in them beyond the... everybody would sit there and say, I love animals. I mean, that's not a big deal, but it goes beyond that, and the more I've worked with them, the more interesting I find them, and the more I learn about them, you just get closer and closer to them. A cheetah is... it almost bonds with you, and it grows on you, and the more you work with them, the more you want to work with them.
Hi, I'm Jan.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
Good meeting you.
Hi.
Well, cheetah is right over here. Let's have a look.
The cheetah is in good shape, but there's no way Lisa can handle a grown and healthy cheetah on her own while it's awake. Lisa has no formal training as an animal handler, but through the years she has become a professional caretaker. She prepares to dart the animal with a sedative.
Well, I don't want to look like an idiot, as in somebody who's claiming to be the cheetah woman or anything like that. I just hope that the efforts that we've put into this project and into these animals will eventually bear some kind of fruit, in that even the day we die, that there's a change in the attitude towards these animals. I do feel sorry for the cat, but at the same time, it's more the stress that worries me than minor injuries. It's something that I know is going to heal. I've got to the point now that I've dealt with enough to know that it's not a serious problem, and that even the cat really isn't feeling that, because it's so stressed out at that time that that's the last thing on its mind. It's the stress that they are suffering that makes me feel sorry for them, not really worry so much, but I just know that they're terrified and that they're frightened, and that worries me more for their sake. Before I even came to Namibia, I would never have actually thought that I would have got involved with cheetahs. But when we did, that's actually how we got so much involved in Africa. It was the thought of one of our cheetahs being caught in a trap. It's almost unbearable.
Can I help you with that? Okay.
This is the easiest and least stressful time to take blood samples for virus checks. Cheetahs in Namibia are generally disease-free, and Lisa is concerned that they stay this way, especially when a dangerous feline AIDS-like virus is spreading throughout Africa. Only superficially injured, this cheetah will wake up in safety at the Africat base before being released into a less risky area away from a farm. Lisa is happy that this farmer, even though he had lost some livestock, called her to ask for help. She feels the fruits of her labor are spreading among Namibia's farmers, and they're interested in listening to her advice.
Environmental education is something that you can never really do enough of. A lot of the farming community haven't really had, they've been brought up on a farm, but a lot of them haven't really studied farming or even how that fits into the natural environment. Some of them have, of course, but some of them aren't really aware. And in doing that, they tend to abuse the land. And it's a common sight in Namibia. Millions of hectares have been destroyed. Bush encroachment, abusing of naturally occurring prey species, which is antelope, anything like that could lead to problems with predators eating livestock. So it's not just a case of cheetahs coming and eat cattle. It could be a case of somebody shooting at all the kudus in the area, which is the food for the cheetahs, and then what else do they eat? Or it could be a case of changing their natural habitat. Maybe it's bush encroached, so they might be having a problem hunting. So it's a whole lot of factors, and education, not just in cheetah, but in general environmental awareness, is something that is extremely important and hasn't been done enough. Namibia is a very new country, and I think quite a scope for something in that line.
Not all cheetahs are so lucky, and some appalling injuries are treated by Mark Jago, the local vet. Held in a small cage, this animal had been seriously beaten before being found and rescued by Lisa. With a fragmented jawbone and maggots crawling out of the cheetah's wound, the team has a formidable task.
When a farmer has a predator in a box trap, to him, he has a serious problem. He doesn't know what to do with it. And if it's out in the veld, he knows that that animal needs food and water. So he has to actually drive out, feed it, and give it water every day. And then obviously, sometimes you get the farmer who doesn't even bother, and you get a cat that starves to death.
A specialist in treating wild animals, this skilled country vet working closely with Lisa gives this critically injured cat the best chance it can get.
No, you can actually just open it just now. I'm just going to open this up and we're going to have to flush the whole jaw out here because it's pretty badly damaged.
But through the years, they've seen cheetahs and other cats with all sorts of injuries.
It's mainly dehydration and occasionally broken teeth. But every now and again it's broken legs, dislocated legs, and sometimes dehydration that's so bad that kidneys fail and the animal can die. But so far, thank goodness, any of the animals that I've actually brought here haven't died in transport or anything in that way.
Yeah, I think we better take an X-ray of this too.
The operation has been successful, but it's much too early to say if the animal will recover. There are, however, already many cheetahs that can thank Mark Jago and Lisa for still being alive.
The cheetah that had its leg amputated was part of a team of 2 cheetahs. I got that particular cheetah when it was 5 months old, and its friend I got when she was 3 months old, but I got them on the same day. So I brought them up together, and cheetahs bond closely, so they were very good friends. And if that cheetah had been alone, if the one that had its leg amputated had been a loner, I would have put it down, because, you know, a wild animal is not something that can easily adapt to having 3 legs. But those cheetahs are a team, and the other cheetah would be completely alone without that one, and she just doesn't want to be friends with anybody else. So in fact, for her sake, I kept him alive and rather had the leg amputated. But he's adapting pretty well. He seems to be managing fine on 3 legs.
All of Lisa's rescued animals recover in safety. They go home with her to the Africat base at the Hansons' Okonjima home. Okonjima is not only an oasis of care, but the family farm. No animal in need has ever been turned away from here. But importantly, no animal has ever been kept here without good reason. Orphaned and injured animals are cared for by family and friends, and returned to the wild whenever possible.
Come now, let's just go to work. Come, let's go to work. Come.
I decided to save cats after being many years in a hunting profession, and one day after having to bring down a wounded leopard shot by somebody else. It was just such a sick episode that I promised myself every leopard that was shot during that time, I would like to save 100 thereof. I approached many foundations for about 3 years, and the money just came in so erratic that it just hardly made it possible. Then we decided to start making it ourselves. And slowly but surely we were funneled into the tourism business.
Money raised from visitors to Okonjima goes straight back into the Africat Foundation's funds for rescue and rehabilitation.
The Africat Foundation is run on a guest farm, our farm, Okonjima, and obviously they have an advantage to be together because guests coming to Okonjima can see the cats, and at the same time they make donations on which the project runs on. And if it wasn't for those, there would be no project, because all the cats that we've saved, and I was actually trying to count yesterday how many cats that we've gone through, and just between cheetah and leopard it's over 200 now, and all of those have been rescued, and that has been funded by donations from the guests.
With these impressive numbers, 170 cheetahs and 90 other cats released back into the wild, the family initiative is probably the most successful conservation effort anywhere in the world for cheetahs and other cats. From their perch in the Land Rover, guests view the cats in their 100-hectare enclosures. And at feeding time, the humans are treated to an encounter of a very close kind, one they'll probably never forget.
Schmizzy! Cowboy! Here we go.
This is environmental education at its best, and already thousands of people have been through the Hanson's Outdoor Conservation School. In the enclosure, some cats are temporary visitors, waiting to be relocated to areas in Namibia or South Africa. Some of the cats that have been here for a longer period of time have bonded with Lisa. But even if hunger forces them into close contact with humans, they're still wild animals that will make their opinions heard.
No. No. It's actually a growl. Just unsure. It's just unsure.
But the success of the operation inspires Lisa and Wayne to take the effort further.
Tourism is the second fastest growing industry in the country. And even at Okanjima, we get so many tourists coming here because they know they can see cheetah and leopard, where it is not so easy to see them out in the wild. They almost hold like a mystery for people. And the photography, the photographic worth of a predator is far more even in trophy hunting. If a trophy hunter has shot the cat, okay, it's worth a lot of money. But alive, that cat can be photographed over and over and over again.
What's the curling lip?
He's just, that's like a hiss. He's hissing at me.
He's saying get on with it, huh?
Yep, that's exactly what he's saying. He wants his food. Meow. Okay. Oh, no, don't take that. Don't take that. Okay. No, you're going to get it all stuck. You can only have one piece. He's trying to take it. These two are female, but that one's a big male.
We've been saving many more cats than we'd ever predicted. Not only the leopard, which I'd originally started with, but also cheetah and many other cats that may not necessarily be endangered, but just the way that they are shot unnecessarily due to a complete misunderstanding by farmers. We thought that we had to get into this thing. It's going to become a very long-term program because we've got to work with farmers that have been on the land for many years. And it's going to become a lifetime project. And the fruits thereof, the most important of all, is when you open up a cage and see this cat go back into freedom, which otherwise would have become a skin on a wall for sure.
To care for many animals takes a lot of support from good neighbors, willing to provide for the predator's fare. In a year, tons of food are prepared for the animals held in all the different enclosures.
In fact, the most enjoyable part of the whole project is, to me, is feeding them. It's something that I really enjoy. And something I'm interested in as well is the diet of the nutrition and nourishment of the cats.
The supplement added is a mix specially formulated to replace essential nourishment the animals would normally get from eating the fur of their prey.
In the beginning, I go in at night time so that it's in the dark, not to stress them out. But after a while, you do have to go and check their condition, and they go mad. And in doing that, it stresses them out and it stresses me out. But it's something that has to be done.
Forward. Yeah.
Somewhat stressed, but recuperating, the badly beaten cheetah has a really good chance of eventually being released back into the wild away from farmland.
Generally, people feel that captive breeding of any endangered species is a good thing. If you can breed an animal up in captivity and then place them back in their natural habitat. Now with cheetah, it is a little bit different in that they don't breed very well in captivity, and if the natural environment is hostile towards them, you can't put them back in the bush anyway. Captive breeding is not doing what they say they do. They have cracked almost the code in breeding cheetahs in captivity, but they haven't taken those cheetahs and reintroduced them back into the wild. The captive breeders put the word out, they need females. They need new blood in their captive breeding population. But in Namibia, we have the largest free-ranging cheetah population in the world, and it's in a situation where the majority of the people who hold those cheetahs in their hands are anti-cheetah because they kill livestock. So they are happily catching them, and instead of shooting them, thinking they're doing cheetahs a favor, keep them alive, we'll just sell them to an animal dealer, and the animal dealer sells them to a captive breeding facility, and everybody says, oh, but at least it's going to a good cause. But they don't see situations that I've seen. If you look at how close cheetahs get, how they actually bond, if you look at two cheetahs that have been brought up together, or how a mother looks after her cubs, that it's morally wrong to do something like that. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of people wouldn't agree with me. And in fact, probably everybody in captive breeding would disagree with me. And most people would probably think I'm a bunny hugger as well. But it's just what I've seen. And I've seen the suffering of these animals, mothers calling their cubs that are never coming back. And to me, that's completely unnecessary.
Since cheetah cubs are taught by their mothers to hunt, orphans can never be successfully released, as they would starve to death, and so they remain captive for life. But Lisa has a long-term dream that eventually she will find a way to teach other cubs survival in the wild, enabling future releases.
It's so great to see these little guys in their new house because they don't know what to do with all the space. Running around, they just can't believe their luck. So it's a good feeling. Obviously, I mean, these animals are used to space. It's really excellent. So the day that we can start releasing them into the bush again will be even better.
Because of the impossibility of captive mothers teaching their cubs to hunt, breeding-age females in permanent captivity are put on the pill. Cats likely to come on heat must first be tranquilized, and bribing a cheetah to stay still requires a lot more luck than skill.
Wait!
And even though these cats are used to a human presence, Lisa cannot avoid a close encounter.
Now I'm ready to.
So it's back to Mark, the vet, once more, but this time with much less stress. Each female receives a contraceptive implant, active for a year. Believed to be the first time this type of contraceptive has been used with captive cheetahs anywhere in the world, since it was pioneered at Okonjima in 1995. It's been a resounding success.
Hunting in Namibia is quite a big thing. Most of the cattle farming areas, most of the cattle farmers do have hunting on their farms as a supplementary income. In Namibia, it's a way of life. The big problem is that some of these cats are worth quite a lot of money, and they're very, very difficult to find in the veld. So they will take unethical steps that if they've caught a cheetah or a leopard, they will keep it in a box trap until that hunter is ready to shoot that animal. And I've heard, there's no hard evidence of certain people, but I've heard the odd story on my ways around the farm. One is of a leopard that was kept for 7 months in a box trap. And eventually the farmer just shot it himself because nobody wanted to kill it. I've actually been to a farm to pick up a leopard where the guy told me that he was offered 6,000 Deutschmark for that particular cat to shoot it in the trap. So you can imagine that the ethical hunters are very anti the unethical hunters, because the unethical guys is giving the whole industry a bad name. I am not completely anti-hunting. I can understand the industry in that killing something to make money in order to ensure the survival of the rest of that species. If anything's worth something, then there's a future for it on this earth. Unfortunately, it's unfair, but that's the way life is. So the industry is understandable, but the people who enjoy killing animals, I don't understand that at all.
After we had the meeting on the Farmers' Day, where quite a couple of farmers listened to AfriCat Foundation, we started listening, although the other guys start laughing at me because we killed them to get rid of a problem. We all of a sudden decided we'll give the animals a chance and have a look how that works here. They explained to us about the electric fencing.
I think that electric fencing is the only effective way that farmers can keep predators away from whatever stock they are farming. The electric fence is energized by a pulsator that pushes out about 10,000 volts. Now this is the energizer that we are getting the farmers to use and add to the existing fences. It's completely solar powered, and this is going to save him all the necessary generators, charging batteries, using a fuel.
If it wasn't for AfriCat Foundation and Wayne, who helped us to erect the electric fence, we wouldn't have done it because of the fact that the cost involved sounds to you like a lot of money, and you rather buy small game or game for it instead. But after we fitted it electrical, it worked much easier and better. The increase in animal numbers in a year is 100%.
What I envisage for the future is a big-scale foundation operating not only in Namibia, as we come up with practical solutions for this problem. And because we're actually farmers at heart ourselves, we know the practical side of it. It's very easy for somebody to understand the saving of cats that live in a city or that only see these beautiful animals on holiday. But it's a complete different story operating with the very person that has lost possibly $500,000 over the last 20, 30 years due to predators. It's going to call for some real down-to-earth solutions that is going to work for the farmer. And indirectly, it will then work for the cats as well. Because all over the world, where you have domestic animal farming, sooner or later predators in that area move out, or they are shot out, or they move out because of loss of habitat. Could we actually take a country like Namibia and turn it around to be a haven for cheetah and leopard, for instance, and at the same time have farmers with these animals roaming on their property and have no problems with them at all?
After 3 years of drought in Namibia, it finally rains. And like the toads who have lain dormant in the mud all this time, everything comes to life. For a short while, the monotone of dust and dry grass of the veldt is replaced with a burst of unfamiliar colour, echoed by a feeling of optimism over the increasing success of Okanjima and AfriCat. Three cheetahs are very special to Lisa. They are the first 3 animals she rescued as orphaned cubs, and the reason why she finally decided to dedicate her life to cheetah conservation.
To me, there's something that you can get close to. It's almost like a dog in that way. A lot of people say the house cat, you can never get close to your house cat, or a cat, which is what the other cats are, lion, leopard, and the house cat and African wild cats. But a cheetah is more like a dog. It's like a trusting friend. So to me, they've got far more feelings than the other cats. So it's something that you can get close to. They can be a friend to you. To tell you the honest truth, I don't honestly think that cheetah will go extinct. I do think it's very likely, but I wouldn't say it will happen, but it's very likely that the cheetah numbers will go down further. They've never ever had a time in their lives when they've been having a carefree time. They've always been killed by lions. They've always been killed by hyenas. Their prey has always been stolen. Now it's a case of livestock farmers, but there are no other predators on the farmlands to counteract the number of cheetahs that are actually being bred, because they breed pretty easily and they have a lot of cubs. So there are a lot of people that do believe that if farmers didn't remove cheetahs, there would be a big problem. In other words, there'd be too many cheetahs. I believe that they overdo it a bit, but I still don't believe that they will go extinct. But I think that a lot of the catching, there's a lot of cruelty involved, and to me that is where education will come and help. If you can educate the farmers' kids, there's a possibility of coming up with more solutions.
During this unusual summertime, Bobby Bowser, farmer and former cheetah killer, pledges his support to Lisa and her cause.
Hi.
Hi Lisa, how are you?
How fine, you?
I brought you something.
Oh, excellent. Oh, wow. That's excellent, thanks.
I will say this, that the cheetah population of Namibia is the biggest population in the world. And if we as farmers don't look after these animals, may it only be for photographs or what, in the next 20 years you won't have cheetah anymore. And they, as cheetah, haven't got a chance if we don't give them a chance. We got modern weapons and modern ways and technologies to get rid of them. But once they are gone, our grandchildren will most probably tell each other that were our parents. They didn't think of it, of saving these animals. The change of heart actually came through that one knows that they are an endangered species. Somebody has to look after them, giving them a second chance to survive.
As a final seal on his promise towards the conservation of cheetahs in the future, Bobby accompanies Lisa for the release of a cheetah near his farm. As one more hardened farmer proves he can change, Lisa takes another step closer to her dream of freedom and safety for cheetahs in Namibia. One more spotted cat runs free.